want to start today with telling a very short story about me on 21 years ago, sitting in a house and then walking to the garden to collect some vegetables because it was Christmas. Christmas dinner was in the oven. And walking to the garden, I heard shots. Shots of an automatic rifle. In the back of my mind, I immediately knew what has happened. I tried to sort of push it away, but I knew what was happening. Quickly grabbing a few things, two of us hopped in a car and we drove to where I thought the shots were fired. And soon we found the tracks of a rhino cow with a very small calf trying to keep up, and hot on their heels were the tracks of two poachers. We started to follow, and the day got longer and longer, and tiredness and thirst set in, and all of a sudden I started thinking to myself, what on earth am I doing here? What will I do if all of a sudden I come face to face with the poachers? What will I do? Will I shoot first? Will I let them shoot first? Will I call out to stop them, or will I just let them go away? All I know is that if they would have shot at me, I would have shot back. But would I shoot somebody in the back? I don't think so. Thankfully, I never was given the chance to make that decision. Because before I could do anything, it got dark, and I didn't realize by then the rhino calf was dead. And the next day, it was left up to me to find what was left. Bleeding face of a rhino cow, and just next to it lay the calf, blood all over, 3 shots through the chest. And that I had to deal with. For the coming days, I had to cut through those poor bodies, try to get the bullets out to use as police evidence. And there were 16 bullets in the rhino cow, none in the calf, because it was so small, the bullets went right through it. This is only one of hundreds of stories happening in southern Africa at the moment. One where rhinos used to roam freely and not can anymore. Namibia and South Africa are losing rhino at an alarming rate. Last year in South Africa alone, 1,215 rhinos were poached, meaning 1 rhino every 8 hours, a rate that is certainly not sustainable anymore. Fortunately in Namibia, we are not affected as badly, and I say not yet. But there are hidden costs for those who live with those animals, who live out in the field, who live out, for those who know Namibia, in Damaland, and those people who put their lives on risk trying to protect these species. These animals give those people living in these remote areas a chance to earn some of their income through tourism. And these poachers, by taking away those animals, they also take away possibility for those people to earn some money, to send their kids to school, to eat, and to build a shelter. At this point of time, I'd like you to actually refer to another scenario that Namibia was involved and now holds a collective responsibility for its actions. In 1999, Namibia was involved in a so-called one-off sale of ivory from elephants that died of natural causes. The action was based on a request by Namibia, South Africa, Botswana, and Zimbabwe to have some of the ivory stocks sold so that they can use the income to protect the elephants in general. Unfortunately, this action had to be repeated again, 2007. And again, 62 tons of elephant tusks were sold at a public auction, this time to China, because the previously one was to Japan only. CITES, an international treaty drawn up in 1973 that helps protect wildlife and prevents over-utilization, has accepted that Namibia and South Africa and the other 2 countries, that they were looking after the elephant stock and therefore allowed it to happen. Working as a journalist at the time, I asked one of the CITES officials who came to inspect the ivory on sale of Namibia about this sale, and he said that this sale will go a long way to protect the elephants in the wild. It'll take off the pressure for the poachers. Unfortunately, as I said, in 2009, this was repeated again, the auction. 62 tons of ivory were sold to China, and Now, years later, we know that these actions were terribly backfired. It opened the doors to the illegal trade to infiltrate the commercial legal shelves. The illegal ivory is now trading at a 25-year high. That means 25 times higher than when that ivory was sold. The price of ivory is now 10,000 times higher than the ones of sale. We are losing one elephant every 15 minutes, and last year alone, 80,000 elephants were slaughtered. What chance do the elephants have? Now we face the same scenario again, but this time it's a call to have the rhino horn legalized, the sale of rhino horn. Proponents of these ideas, and here we mainly talk about the South African government, the Rhino Association of Namibia and South Africa, and various hunting organizations, claim that by selling the rhino horn, they can earn some money which they can put towards protection of rhino and also will save the species in the long run. The plan is to create a central selling organization through which they can control the buying and the selling of the rhino horn. They can control the price and the demand. The problem that I see is who determines the value of rhino horn? Who puts a figure to that? Whatever figure you put to it, it will still be fantastical. It will still be something that the criminal syndicates will utilize. It will still be high enough for the actual poacher, the hitman, to go out and kill another rhino. At the moment, rhino horn trades at about $100,000 a kilogram on the black market. This price drives the whole industry. There is no way that the man living next to a park or somebody that desperately needs some money will hold back and not kill that rhino if he sees one. According to Forbes magazine, in the year 2030, there will be 1 billion middle-class Chinese capable of buying rhino horn. And in one swoop, they'll be able to buy whatever the world has to offer. At the moment, rhino in China and in Vietnam is used as a medicinal potion. And one potion is about 1.5 grams. The Namibian government is not prepared to say how much rhino horn they have got in store. But South Africa has approximately 16 tons of rhinos stored. If you work that out at 1.5 grams a portion, it makes about 11 million portions of so-called rhino medication. Compare that with 1 billion people capable of buying. There is no way that we can supply the market. Nowadays, rhino is traded in the powdered form because it's used as a so-called medication. So it's virtually impossible to trace that horn back if it's legal or if it's illegal. And this will open up the doors for the criminal element to challenge their rhino horn onto the so-called legal shelves. And we also have to think about the new emerging markets in Vietnam, for instance. Their rhino horn is used as a recreational drug. They take a portion of rhino horn, grind it down, mix it with their favorite drink it to go out and party. And once they come back, they make the same portion so that they don't have a hangover the next day. These people have the income to drive this price of about $100,000 a kilogram. It does not matter that there is no medical proof that rhino horn does actually do anything for you. Those people, they don't care. All it matters to them is to be able to show off what they can afford. Showing off to a politician, to a friend, to whoever you want to impress. The main problem is they create a platform where drugs like rhino horn become popular, demand will grow, and we sit with the problem that the last rhino that we are looking after are the target. What chance do the rhino have? pangolin. For a lot of people asked me, what is a pangolin? And often I heard it being compared to an artichoke on legs, or a mixture between a snake and a crocodile, or like a baby dinosaur. It's an animal, however, that's been around for 47 million years. It's an animal that feeds on about 12,000 ants or termites a night, and it's the only mammal that we know of that's virtually covered in scales. When it feels threatened, it rolls up into a ball, and for most predators, it's safe, except for man. We can just pick it up, and unfortunately, most of the time, we kill it. Also, unfortunately for the pangolin, it does not only hold the valuable scales, but also it's treated as a delicacy. People across Africa and Asia eat the pangolin, kill it for their scales, and use it much in the same way as rhino horn is used. It saddens me to see pictures like these, locals killing pangolin because they think they can make a quick buck. It saddens me to read newspaper articles of tons of frozen pangolins trying to be smuggled to China, to Vietnam. It pains me to read about tons of pangolin scales being confiscated. Over the last 10 years, about 1 million pangolins were killed across Africa and Asia, and all 8 species of pangolin are facing extinction now. But more recently, the focus has shifted to Africa because most of the pangolins in Asia are disappearing. And now we get records of tons of scales being exported to China and Vietnam. 1 ton of scales is roughly about 250 to 700 pangolins. And we get reports in, like I got today, a message via Twitter came in where 2 tons of rhino horn of pangolin scales have been confiscated in Hong Kong coming from Nigeria. What chance do those pangolins have? Southern Africa holds most probably the last viable population of elephants, rhino, and most probably of pangolin. Surely, we cannot give up allowing short-sighted policies and ultimate criminals to dictate how we try to protect these species. What will it really mean for Namibia not to have any elephants, any pangolins, any rhinos? How will we feel to have allowed in our lifetime those animals to disappear? I suggest a possible solution, a solution that might work for all 3 of these species. One that might work for those countries who conscientiously protected these animals over the last couple of years. But it's certainly not a get-rich-quick plan. I suggest that a respected organization like CITES or the WWF would use the possibilities of buying up all pangolin scales, rhino horn, or ivory, wherever they can find it. They will store the horn, the scale, and the ivory, not destroy it, not discolor it, but store it so it can be used possibly in education or in research, and with the money that they pay to the countries where they get it from, the money can then be reinvested in those areas, to those people, and to those organizations that actively are involved in conservation and protect these animals. And most of all, money should go to those individuals who risk their lives day after day to try make sure that one day our children will be able to see any of those 3 animals. The main point I want to make is that no ivory, rhino horn or pangolin scale should ever be a tradable commodity. This is where I draw my line in the sand. I know there are many, many issues before something like that could be instituted, before this plan can be done. And I can see already, and I can feel the criticism coming on, but I don't see another way how we can protect these species in the long run. Without the commitment of individuals, local communities, governments and international organizations, what chance do those animals have? It is time that we embrace the concept of collective responsibility. Because if we do not act now, our children, and their children's children will only have this to look at. An animal that once used to live, animal that we still know, but an animal that might disappear in our lifetime. But the thought I want to leave you tonight, you can read it yourself, is that it's not just our natural heritage that is at issue here. It's not about the children's right to see rhino, elephants, and pangolins in the wild. It's not about living out some romantic dream in the African wilderness, an irretrievable past. It is actually about the future of the human species, and the only one for whom we really are entitled to speak. If we cannot summon the collective will to act humanely towards the lives we cannot fathom, if our only response is to reduce those lives to a tradable commodity, to accept, in fact, legislate for, those being chopped up, killed, packaged, and powdered, so that we can decor our homes, adore our bodies, feed the appetites, and significantly medicate our own non-production, then honestly, what does it mean to be human? These species are the only ones we have left. What happens if we let them go? Thank you.